dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And we're back on Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I remain your host, Michele White. And we return to our guest, Liberty Nation national security correspondent, Dave Patterson. With all these things that we're talking about, his excess tour, the shipbuilding that President Trump is reviving, his eyes on Greenland, and whatever's going on behind the scenes there, some of these tariffs, overall, the message is that he's building up America's defense. What is that saying to the world?
Well, I think that says to the world that, people have been wondering, what is the Trump doctrine? Well, it's very simple. He says it all the time. America first. I mean, that's the doctrine. It's, pretty clear. And what it means is that to the rest of the world is that just as he said in both the national security strategy and the national defense strategy, that we are going to focus our effort, and that means our industry, our weapons, our equipment, our services, we're going to focus on the United States first. It's not that we're abandoning anyone else, but we are focusing on our particular needs first. And he has emphasized the fact that the Western Hemisphere is going to be key to the defense, and it's just not a complicated strategy. America first. That's the way it's going to be, and we're going to continue to. He's going to continue to do that. And I think that even in his speeches, he does not discount the fact that, yes, we have to have global alliances. They're very important. The United States is not going to, police the world all by itself. Presidents have said that before, and then they go about policing the world. This is not going to happen with President Trump, I don't believe.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to understand that America first? And why do you think they're so offended by it?
Oh, I think that has more to do with the fact that Trump says it than anything else. The Trump derangement syndrome is a thing. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's Trump that says these things. They tend to immediately, they're aghast. How terrible! How could anyone have this insular point of view? Well, it's obviously not an insular point of view. I mean, he went to Davos. He explained himself pretty well, and he's been very transactional and all over the world, and in solving some of the conflicts that have been taking place for years and suddenly are solved.
Right. I don't know if you saw, he posted a video, a montage of some of the things that he said in 1987, and he posted it on Truth Social. And it's so it sums up everything that you just said about his America First and just his business mind and how we were being ripped off and how angry he was that America was being ripped off. And you can see his passion in it. And I posted it on Facebook, and it's just set off a firestorm. People were so angry. And, I said, what is wrong with it? Why can he say this and it's wrong in your eyes? I mean, they just go off on these tangents. That TDS that you're talking about is really, it's a scary thing. You can't reason with them. And then I lost a friend of mine that I've had for 15 years, wrote on my Facebook page, I can't be friends with you anymore.
Oh my gosh. What?
Yeah. Well, there were a few of those. I had an older friend. I had a friend, a sorority sister from college, who unfriended me because I supported Trump in the last election. But yeah, it is a real thing. It's crazy. But when you take these videos from the 1980s and well into the 90s, he was a well sought out commentator on politics and economics back in the day, before he ever came down that escalator and announced he was running for president. And people had him on their shows, the same people that criticize him and hate him today. And everything he said, he's stood on and was true to. So I don't understand why America First is a bad thing. And it's not just not just the rest of the world that doesn't like it, but some Americans are not like it. Some people in Congress aren't liking the America First. So how much pushback is he going to get in this Congress to accomplish?
I think that he's going to get, obviously, a perfect score on pushback from the Democrats. But I think that, there are enough Republicans, left that that most of the stuff he wants to do in this year, which is a critical year, I think they're going to be able to pass that. I just, you're exactly right. The things that are there are certain things that are just true.
Mm-hmm.
And, back in the 80s, it was just as true then and as it is today. One of the things that I think that people were concerned about in the 1980s was globalism.
Right.
That we were losing our identity to a global behemoth to which we were paying alms. And the same, but Trump says that no, we're not going to do that. Our sovereignty is sacred, and consequently, the America First. And again, you ask this question: why not? Why wouldn't you, put your country and its requirements and its needs above others?
Right. How do you bring them back to the middle when we're talking about defense? From your experience with the Pentagon, how do you bring people back to the middle?
Well, you bring them back by virtue of the fact that, hey, listen, if you want this piece of equipment, this weapon system built in your district, then you might want to get on board with the program and the
money talks.
Yeah, the money talks. And
we'll build it in your district. Your constituents will have jobs and be happy. And so,
yeah, right. So, and those who are obstructionists, well, they'll have a harder time.
So, are you happy with Pete Hegseth's tour?
Absolutely.
You were surprised with some of the things that he's doing, or has he kind of met all of your expectations?
I think I would say that he's met my expectations as to what needs to be done. The idea of having a threat-based strategy is important. After I use this term advisedly, after the end of the Cold War, we decided that, oh my gosh, we don't need all these weapon systems anymore. It's the end of the Cold War, and let's start to put that peace dividend to work. And what they forgot was that the peace dividend was peace, and in order to continue that, you had to have a very robust military. And they started with the program of capability-based strategies and capability-based acquisition programs, but they couldn't define what that capability was supposed to do. I mean, you had the two major conflicts and one or two minor conflicts that you were supposed to be able to do, but without a specific and well-defined threat. That kind of thinking is sort of meaningless, really.
Have we had a Department of Defense like this before? Have we had a Secretary of Defense who was so, warfighter minded and using some of the strong arm tactics that Pete Hegseth is using?
Yeah, I think that Teddy Roosevelt had a pretty decent administration, and there's a lot of similarities when you start to look at what Theodore Roosevelt and his administration did and how they felt about the world, and Donald Trump and how he feels about the world, and by extension, what Secretary Hegseth is doing.
Dave Patterson, always enjoy talking with you. It's a wealth of information. I really appreciate your time today.
Hey, thank you. Fun being with you.
And that's all we have time for on this week's edition of Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I've been your host, Michele White. I'd like to thank our guests today, Andrew Moran and Dave Patterson. And I'd like to thank you, our audience, who takes the time every week to tune in and join us on the Radio America Network. Please remember, Liberty Nation does not endorse candidates, campaigns, or legislation, and this presentation is no endorsement.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.